attempts to put together his new governmental coalition, different Middle Eastern factions are staking out their positions concerning the coming peace proposal called the Deal of the Century. The announced date for release of Trump's peace deal is June the 4th. The Jerusalem Post is announcing that Jared Kushner states that the Middle East peace plan will be released on June the 4th. Jared Kushner, U.S. President Donald Trump's senior advisor, told foreign diplomats on Wednesday that the deal of the century will be released in June after Ramadan. A source familiar with the remarks told the Jerusalem Post. Ramadan, by the way, begins on May the 5th and ends June the 4th. Kushner spoke in front of 100 foreign diplomats and ambassadors at the Blair House and asked them to keep an open mind regarding the plan. However, he did not provide any new details about the plan itself. We will all have to look for reasonable compromises that will make peace, Kushner said. Now let's pause there just a moment. What's really at stake here? President Trump, before he was ever elected, said if elected, his number one goal would be a Middle East peace deal. He called it the deal that just can't be done. Now, more recently, he's named it the deal of the century. Well, that all happened way back in 2016, and here we are in 2019. After Trump's inauguration on January the 20th of 2017, immediately Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt swung into action to put together a peace deal. They have been working fervently on this deal for quite a long time. Now, they had it ready at the end of 2018. However, when they were just about to reveal it, the Israeli government was plunged into crisis. Netanyahu lost his majority, and he had to call elections. Well, the elections were just held on April the 9th, but now they're trying to put together the new coalition as a result of those elections. And then that's going to be done around the middle or toward the last part of May. But now we're right in the middle of the holiest month of the year for the Muslims, the month of Ramadan. Since the Muslims are involved in the negotiations, it's now been announced, okay, Ramadan ends on June the 4th. We're going to reveal the peace plan immediately after that. Now, in the meantime, comments are flying fast and furious. There's speculation about what the plan does contain, what it does not contain. Does it provide for a two-state solution, or is it a one-state solution? Nobody knows for sure, because the Trump administration has kept this one very close to their chest. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now, whether the plan will propose outright the creation of a Palestinian state, which is the Palestinians' core demand, remains unclear. During his remarks, Kushner pushed back on the idea that the Trump peace plan mostly centered around the economic package, saying the political component is very detailed, the source said. Kushner said the plan will require concessions from both sides, but won't jeopardize the security of Israel, a source said. It requires everybody approaching the plan with an open mind. Okay, so there's all kinds of speculation. It comes from the Arab side. It comes from the Israeli side. Everybody's trying to guess what's in this plan. Now, did you notice that there's definitely a large economic portion of this plan? Trump is promising to turn the poverty-stricken Gaza Strip into the Singapore of the Middle East. I mean, there have been things floated like an oil pipeline between Saudi Arabia and Gaza. This would bring oil into Gaza. They would then build 2 big oil refineries there. This would produce high-level, high-paying jobs. They also floated the possibility of an international airport there for the Palestinians, of an international seaport there for the Palestinians, things that they've only been able to dream about in times past. So Trump is putting some big carrots out there in front of the Palestinians. Furthermore, he's promised them at least one desalination plant, and one desalination plant could provide all the water needed for the entire Gaza Strip. So all of these things are on the table. That's what little bit we know. That's where we are right now. But Trump is making the economic portion so tantalizing that apparently many of the Arab countries are saying quietly to Mahmoud Abbas and the head of the Palestinians, hey, don't turn this away. You'll never get a better deal. So Saudi Arabia, Egypt, others, they're pushing Mahmoud Abbas to change his mind and to seriously consider Trump's deal of the century.
We've seen Bible prophecy fulfilled like never before. From the halls of the United Nations to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Endtime Ministries continues to reveal the Bible prophecy in the news headlines around the world every day. Whether it's through our broadcast or online at our Jerusalem Prophecy College, your gifts enable us to put vital materials in the hands of those who need it most. Because of you, we continue to replace fear with faith in the hearts of Christians around the world. We will continue to see prophecy come to pass at an even swifter pace. We need your support. Your donation of any amount enables us to continue to broadcast and be a voice in the ever-growing censored media. To become a partner or give a one-time gift, visit endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now. That's 800-363-8463. Go online now. Visit endtime.com.
Have you had a longing to visit the cities where Jesus healed, ministered, and taught every day? Judy and I would like to invite you to travel to the wonderful land of Israel. Experience the Word of God in vivid color while walking down the roads of the Holy Land with us.
When you are ready to experience Israel, we recommend you travel with Endtime Ministries. You will not only experience historical and present-day Israel, you will also learn about the prophesied future to come. It's as if we traveled back in time to visit a different era and discovered ourselves in an ancient time. The tour is very well organized, the accommodations are first class, and the food is delicious. If you have ever had a desire to visit Israel, there is no better time than now. Ann from Colorado.
To sign up to receive your Experience Israel 2019 packet, call Adrian or Jana at 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com. We can't wait to experience Israel with you.
Speaking of Israel, just a word to the wise. Now, we leave for Israel next week. However, we already are filling up on the tour this coming fall. Now, if you would like to go with us on our fall trip, I would suggest you call within the next 4 or 5 days. Matter of fact, right now would be a great time, because it's during this time period that our people will have the ability to sign you up, and you'll be sure of getting in for the November tour. So if you're interested in going or think you may be interested in going, I would suggest you call 800-END-TIME right now and ask to speak to someone about the tour. They'll be able to get you all set up before they actually leave for Israel. Now, Judy and I are going a few days early. I have to take care of some business for the college and some other things over there. So the next time you hear my voice on this program, it will be from Jerusalem. Just talking about it gets me excited. Dave will be with you tomorrow and Friday, and then I will be speaking to you from Jerusalem on Monday. It's going to be incredibly exciting. Don't miss one day, because things are happening. Netanyahu is negotiating his government right now. We will soon be able to get a picture of what it's going to look like. And then shortly after that, I don't know for sure when he'll have his government completed, but I would say within the next 2 weeks. And then shortly after that, we will see the revealing of Trump's peace plan. We've been waiting for this for a long time. But now I'll remind you that this plan, if it is successful, if they sign this peace agreement, it will be the greatest prophetic fulfillment in 2,000 years. It will mark the beginning of the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus Christ. I almost have to pinch myself to think, am I really saying that? Have I lived to the point that we actually could enter the final 7 years in 2019? That's not a prediction. It's not a prophecy. I don't know for sure. All I can tell you is Trump has been working on this peace plan for over 2 years now. They are ready to yank the cover off of it come June the 4th, according to Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law. So it's going to be a big deal. All right, I'm throwing a lot at you right now. One more time, if you're interested in the fall tour, give us a call, 800 Endtime, ask to speak to someone about the tour. Let's continue on now, because I haven't been able to talk to you about some of these things for quite a number of days. So I want to go back to an article we have. It's entitled, Fatah Official, Arab States Pressuring Us to Accept Deal of the Century. This comes from the Jerusalem Post on the 21st of this month. A senior Fatah official, now Fatah is Mahmoud Abbas's political party, a senior Fatah official said that some Arab states have been exerting immense pressure. Are you listening carefully? Some Arab states are exerting immense pressure on the Palestinians to accept Trump's peace plan, also known as the deal of the century. The unnamed official told Al-Khalees Online News that Saudi Arabia was spearheading the campaign of pressure to force the Palestinians to positively respond to Trump's upcoming plan. Some Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, are very interested in the deal of the century, the official claimed. They are using all means, including political and financial blackmail, to force the Palestinians to accept the deal of the century, despite all the dangers it poses to the Palestinian cause. Now let's pause there a moment. Why are they doing this? Because Trump has gone about getting this peace process going from a totally different angle. You talk about thinking outside the box. Normally it's been, okay, Mahmoud Abbas, Benjamin Netanyahu, come sit down at this table, let's get a peace deal. It hasn't worked. Well, now then, Trump has gone to Saudi Arabia, to the United Arab Emirates, to Egypt, all of the surrounding Arab countries that support the Palestinians, and has said to them, look, there's a lot in this for you, and we can get rid of this thorny Palestinian problem if you will just help us convince the Palestinians. So what are they doing? They are using immense pressure on the Palestinians. Now, let's pause a moment to think about what kind of pressure the Palestinians are under. America was given $750 million a year to the Palestinians in one form or another. America, I believe, has stopped every bit of that aid right now. $750 million cut off from the Palestinians. Then Israel says, hey, you're paying salaries to the terrorists that kill our Jews, and yet you expect us to collect the taxes and to give them to you to the tune of $150 million per month. And whatever you were paying them, we know how much it is. We've got all the financial records. We're cutting that off. It's over $100 million per month that Israel has severed from the Palestinian income. Consequently, the Palestinians are screaming to their Arab brethren, saying, we need help here. We're going under here. We can't pay our bills. We'll soon cease to exist. We'll soon be bankrupt. That's what's going on. We're talking about immense pressure. $150 million a month. How would you like to have $150 million a month cut out of your income? It'd be a real problem for me, I promise you. Well, anyway, the Palestinian leadership, the officials said, will not submit to any Arab, American, or even Israeli pressure to accept the deal. Meanwhile, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said on Sunday that the U.S. administration has nothing to offer the Palestinians after all the decisions it has taken since December 2017, which include recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, the transfer of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and the suspension of U.S. financial aid to the Palestinians. Now, on top of that, Trump has now recognized Israel's right to permanently keep the Golan Heights. Yesterday, we get this blockbuster announcement. Netanyahu says, we so are thankful for this statement and this stance by America that we're going to name a new town in the Golan Heights after Donald Trump. Well, do you think Trump likes that? You better believe he does. So all of these things are adding up. And Mahmoud Abbas says the U.S. has done nothing to help us. However, the U.S. is making some big promises if the Palestinians are willing to sit down and talk about it. All right. Now, this article is entitled, Settler and Evangelical Leader Warn Trump Against Any Land for Peace Deal. Now, before we actually go into the content of the article, why? Why are these Americans saying to Donald Trump, no land for peace? We've already tried that. We've done that. It's not worked. No land for peace. But beyond that, they know what the scripture says. We know the Bible tells Israel that they are not to trade land for peace, that they are to totally inhabit the promised land as it was described by God to Abraham in Genesis chapter 15, verse number 18. Now, this article comes from the Jerusalem Post just about a week ago. U.S. President Donald Trump's pending peace deal to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict must not include a demand that Israel withdraw from territory, including in the West Bank. Settler leader Yossi Dagon and evangelical leader Tony Perkins warned on Tuesday. The Trump administration should stay the course, continuing to avoid the land for peace proposals and the policies that have prevented Israelis from building in Judea and Samaria, which have repeatedly failed to work, Dagon said, and Perkins said, in an editorial they jointly published in Tuesday's Washington Times. Dagon was the first of the settler leaders to support Trump, but he is concerned that the president's peace plan could include a demand for territorial withdrawal, something that could cause Trump to lose support among his evangelical base. Oh, by the way, Trump's most solid base is the evangelical base. After all, he's recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. He's moved our embassy to Jerusalem now. Now he supports Israel in that Israel should be able to keep the Golan Heights. They've already annexed it many years ago. Now then, America is recognizing that annexation. I'm talking about the most powerful country in the world is recognizing that annexation. So it goes for a lot. Now, all of this is added up because I'm telling you, I had so many articles I couldn't get to them all. But this article states Abbas is between a rock and a hard place. This comes from Israel Hayam, which means Israel Today, about a week ago, the top ranks of the Palestinian Authority are greatly disappointed by the results of Israel's general election. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and the Fatah leadership hope that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu would be defeated by Benny Gantz, leader of the Blue and White Party, was dashed by the election. Senior PLO official Saeb Erekat expressed his view from the final results of the elections were announced by stating, "The Israelis have voted no to peace to preserve the current situation. They have said no to peace and yes to the occupation." What they're saying is because Netanyahu was reelected and because his government will be a right-wing government, they're not ready to trade land for peace, and therefore they have voted against peace. Now that's what he's saying. However, I would remind you, when we talk about a boss between a rock and a hard place, let me remind you that a boss doesn't have a lot to negotiate with. The only thing he could possibly do is to bring all the Arab countries into a war, but they're not interested in a war right now. Much of the Arab countries are interested in containing Iran, a Shia Muslim nation. They are Sunni Muslim nations, and they do not want Iran to dominate the Middle East. Therefore, they're much more afraid of Iran than they are concerned with the Palestinian problem. They're saying, look, America and Israel are going to put such a good deal on the table that you should not refuse it. This article is entitled, "Senior Fatah Officials Say the PA is Powerless Against Any Intention to Annex the Settlements and Additional Territories in the West Bank, and it doesn't have any diplomatic options to prevent it." So here you see it again. They're almost bankrupt. They don't have an army. They don't have a lot of options. And so they're merely stating the obvious. Palestinians turn to Russia to bypass U.S. peace plan. This is from the Jerusalem Post last week. The Palestinians are urging Russia to play a greater role in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as they embark on an international campaign to bypass the Trump administration's peace plan, which is scheduled to be released in the coming months, Palestinian officials said on Tuesday. Palestinian Mahmoud Abbas is expected to visit Moscow in the coming months to meet the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has spoken multiple times of hosting a Middle East peace process that would include direct talks between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas. PA Foreign Minister Riyad Malki said on Tuesday that Abbas was prepared to meet with Netanyahu without preconditions if Russia is prepared to host such a summit. What's that all about? Russia host a summit? Yeah, Abbas is saying, I'm not going back to the peace table with just the United States and Israel alone. I need someone there who has my back like the United States has Israel's back. Therefore, Putin has invited both Israel and the Palestinians to Moscow for peace talks. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but do you remember in the prophecy about the final 7 years that will be triggered by this peace agreement? It says that the Antichrist will confirm the Abrahamic covenant with many. With many. So there's going to be more players involved. Some people think Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Egypt will all be involved in the peace process. The European Union wants to be there. The United Nations wants to be there. The United States will be there. So can you imagine if Russia, the United States, the Palestinians, the Israelis, the European Union, the United Nations, and all the other players, can you imagine them in a big international peace conference? Especially if Donald Trump's plan is as thorough as we think it is and as thorough as they say that it is. Now think about this. This plan is going to be released June the 4th. That could be could be the day that the peace plan hits the table that will ultimately result in the beginning of the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming. Is anybody out there listening to me? Do you understand the impact of what I'm telling you today? Now, maybe once the deal is revealed, perhaps they're going to kick the can down the road for another 3 months, 4 months. But Donald Trump doesn't like to deal that way. He likes to get things done. So let's just say the Palestinians look at it and say, well, we can't accept that, can't accept that. Yeah, we could accept this, and we could accept this, but not that. Can you imagine the negotiations that could take place? It's so easy. And then the Israelis come along and say, well, we'll take that, that, and that, but we can't accept this. So the negotiations have now begun. And every time there's a difficult issue as far as Israel is concerned, President Trump looks over Benjamin Netanyahu's shoulder and says, hey, Bibi, remember? I moved our embassy to Jerusalem. Now, I told you we're going to have to be flexible. You can't get all the time without giving anything. And don't forget, I've recognized the Golan Heights as officially belonging to Israel right now. Now, what's that worth to you? Now, Bibi, you got to loosen up here a little bit. So the negotiations will go on. Now, that's what you can expect over the next few months, if in fact negotiations begin. Now, if negotiations do not begin, expect another peace agreement from another source to come up, but it will possibly contain about the same thing. There's so much at stake here. If you really want to understand everything and you really want to understand the final 7 years that you're getting ready to enter into, I would highly recommend you enroll in our Jerusalem Prophecy College. Go to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com, register, enroll, and get to work. You may not have much time left.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. This book by Irvin's grandson provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your relationship with God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at Endtime will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Get your book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for Endtime magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. Endtime has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that Endtime magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and lead them in doctors' offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
Well, this half hour, we're going to be taking your calls. I haven't had the privilege of doing that for quite a while. I feel like I'm rediscovering a long-lost friend. Nevertheless, if you'd like to be on the air with me, if you have questions or comments, the number to call is 877-END-TIME. The number to reach our operators, 800-END-TIME. But to be on with me, 877-END-TIME. That's 877-363-8463. We've got a lot on the table to talk about. So what do you say we get started? Let's go first of all to Wayne, calling from right here in Texas. Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Brother Baxter.
Yes.
I have a two-part question. The first question is, if things fall through with Donald Trump getting a peace plan, do you think that Emmanuel Macron might take up the mantle? And the second part is about Pope Francis' trip to Abu Dhabi, if what he signed was the New World Religion, and I'll let you talk.
Well, we know that Emmanuel Macron, the president of France as of 2017, already has offered a peace plan for the Middle East. And he has said if Trump's plan doesn't play out, that he is waiting in the wings. Now, the problem with that is, though, that Israel will probably never countenance a plan from any place else except America, because America is the one country that Israel trusts. France has voted against Israel repeatedly at the UN Security Council and the UN General Assembly. Consequently, they don't have any confidence in France as a friend. But the United States, except for one horrible resolution that was promoted by Barack Obama back in 2016, except for that horrible resolution, America has always had Israel's back. Consequently, Emmanuel Macron would love to become a principal player in the peace process. I really don't think that's going to happen, but it's not impossible, especially if the Trump plan does not happen and if Emmanuel Macron's plan could go forward. So what was your second question, Wayne?
Was about Pope Francis' trip to Abu Dhabi. What he signed was talking about us fellowshipping with one God, which is interfaithism. Is that the new world religion?
It's definitely a big step toward it. That's where he met together with one of the highest Muslim clerics in the world. And they entered the scene holding hands together, expressing brotherhood and saying, we all worship one God. And many people go so far as to say there is only one God, and he is the one true God. Jews call him Jehovah. Muslims call him, well, so help me, it's left my mind for just a moment.
Allah.
Yeah, Muslims call him Allah. And, of course, Christians call him Jesus. But they try to say it's all one. Therefore, we can merge together into one great religion. They are working day and night to get that done because the Bible prophesies we're going to have a one world government and a one world religion. Now, they're not working toward it because the Bible prophesies it. The Bible prophesied it because the Bible foreknew it was going to happen. So
that was not the official start, though.
Well, there usually is not an official start. If you want an official start, you can go back as far as 1893, when there was a special meeting there called the Parliament of the World's Religions. That was 1893. And then at the Vatican Council II in 1992 through 95, that was a huge leap forward, not only in ecumenism, but in interfaithism. Then in 1993, back to Chicago to the second Parliament of the World's Religions, another huge leap forward. So this thing has been stepping forward step by step by step by step. So to say that this was the official start, you couldn't say that. The official start, I would say, was probably the Vatican, if not before then.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Let's go again here in Texas to Eric. Hello, Eric.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Yeah, so I got a quick question. In 1984, Ronald Reagan signed an executive order called the Noahide Law, surrounded by Jewish rabbis, and it comes out of the Jewish Calvin. Basically, what it says that if anybody who practices Christianity, that they will be beheaded in the near future. This goes on. It's been renewed by every president, including Donald Trump, has re-signed it into law. What do you know about the Noahide Law?
Well, Eric, I would not believe that there's anything that Ronald Reagan signed that provided for the beheading of Christians. I would not believe that statement. I would want to look that up and it's possible to look it up. But I do know what the Noahide laws are. There are 7 laws. I looked them up recently. I read them. And the Jews basically say any Christians or anybody else that keeps these 7 laws, even if they are not Jewish, they will be considered worthy of eternal life. And they're basically, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. And it gives the list of the Noahide laws there. And they're things that every Christian would automatically do anyway. So I don't see that they're earth-shaking. If Ronald Reagan did sign them, I haven't looked at them closely, but I believe I would sign them myself because I believe in all those things. So to say that a person that just does those things will automatically have eternal life, I do not believe that, because Jesus said you must be born again or you cannot enter the kingdom of God. So that's what I know about the Noahide laws, Eric.
Oh, okay, because there's videos on YouTube showing him signing it, and it says on YouTube exactly what the laws stand for. But thank you, sir. You have a blessed day.
Yeah, well, if it was on the internet or on YouTube, of course, you know it's got to be right? No, of course not. I read a lot of things on there that I know absolutely are wrong. People are twisting things. So I don't know what the particular YouTube presentation that you saw was. I'm simply telling you that I am next to positive that Reagan would never sign a law saying that any Christian that does not keep these laws will be beheaded. I do not believe that he did that, and I think that would be earth-shaking news if anybody could prove that he did that. Don't believe he did it. However, to sign the legitimacy of the Noahide laws wouldn't surprise me at all, because like I said before, I already keep all 7 of those laws, and I didn't even know what they were until I just read them a few weeks ago. All right, right back to the phones now. Derek is calling from Ohio. Hello, Derek.
Hello, Brother Baxter. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hey, since the, and I forget what the council is called, the 10 countries of the willing, or the council of the willing, back in November of last year, 2018, I was just wondering, have you heard of any update or any moves that they've made? And I really kind of forgot all 10 countries, but have you heard of any moves that they've made since they're coming together?
Here's what I know. The name is the European Intervention Initiative. They use EII as an acronym.
Okay.
But the 10 nations that were there include Finland, France, Germany, Great Britain, and several others. I don't have them all memorized. Nevertheless, they did sign this deal on November the 7th of 2018, and they are continuing to move forward. As far as any fresh news about them, I'm sure they're just in the organizing process right now, but that's the best I can tell you. But those 10 nations did sign the European Intervention Initiative.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll be all for today.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Appreciate the phone call. And let's go down to Florida now. Todd is calling from Florida. Hello, Todd.
Hello, how you doing, Irvin?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
I have 2 questions for you. The first question I have for you is, can you just go into a little detail about the Pope prophecies and maybe some other prophecies that are out there? And the second question I have for you is, I know you said we weren't going to be part of the one world government, but could it be possible that the debt we have with China and the other nations, that they would want their money back and we would be forced to go into the one world government?
Well, first of all, as far as the popes moving towards world government, I wrote an article some time back, and I researched all the popes, beginning with Pope Pius XII, who was the pope during World War II, and then on to Pope John XXIII, and then on to Pope Paul VI, and then Pope John Paul I, Pope John Paul II, then Benedict XVI, and then the present Pope, Pope Francis. Every single one of them have written articles specifically recommending a one world government, stating that it is the way for the world to go. So all the popes do in fact favor world government. Now, as far as the United States of America being a part of that world government, we're not going to be. In the Bible, Revelation 13, verse 1 through 2, it shows the world government beast, representing the kingdom of the Antichrist. And that beast has the body of the leopard, Germany, the feet of the bear, Russia, the mouth of the lion, Great Britain, and the 10 horns of the 10 horn kingdom. No eagle's wings. However, back up one chapter to Revelation chapter 12, and there in verse 14, it shows Israel in being destroyed, or being attempted to be destroyed by the one world government, which will be headed by the Antichrist at that time. But the scripture says there, but there will be given to Israel. Israel symbolized as a woman with 12 stars around her head. The 12 stars are the 12 tribes of Israel. So Israel will be protected at that time by the two wings of a great eagle. So we have two specific scriptures here. Revelation 13, 1 through 2, no eagle's wings in the world government. Revelation 12, 14, when the world government is attempting to destroy Israel, the eagle is fighting for Israel and protecting Israel. So we see very clearly no United States in the world government, and yet the United States is fighting against the world government and protecting Israel in the final 3.5 years, which hasn't even started yet, but nevertheless, that's where we're headed. And we can see on every side what is happening, that America continues to side with Israel. So it's happening on every side.
Right. Well, is there any way possible that maybe you can have a show that does relate on prophecy, like the prophecy of the popes that is out there, and some other prophecies out there that you can make us aware of?
When you say the prophecies of the Pope, are you talking about?
Yeah, where they talk about, they show that this Pope, the last Pope we have right now, goes by Peter the Great or something like that, and we all know that the Pope has a ring on his finger with Peter on there. Okay, well, I understand. I think what you're saying now. There was a prophecy given by St. Malachi back in 1134 AD. And in this prophecy, he claimed he saw all the popes from his day until the last pope, and that there were a total of 112 of them. So what you're asking is that we would put that together and show each of the popes arriving finally at the present pope, who is the 112th pope. And he said in the days of that pope, Rome would be destroyed, the pope would be destroyed, and that would be the end of the Roman Catholic Church. Well, first of all, that's not a prophecy from the Bible, don't forget. That's a prophecy given by a man who was a pope. So you cannot put prophetic biblical authority behind it. It's the opinion of a man. Nevertheless, it would make an interesting program, Todd. Sounds like, to me, you're looking for some more work for me and Dave to do. We'll try to do it.
Many Christians admit end-time Bible prophecy is very complex and difficult to understand, and for some, a little bit scary. But what if you could understand Bible prophecy? What if you could know what will happen and how the United States will play a key role during end-time events? When you call today and get Understanding the End Time DVD curriculum, you can have peace about what is to come while understanding the prophetic events that appear in our headlines every day. When you call or go online to endtime.com and order, you'll learn the answer to the biggest prophecy question of all. Will the rapture take place, and when will it happen? This 14-part DVD series is the definitive end-time prophecy Bible study available. And for this limited time, you can get it for just $149. Don't miss this special offer. Understanding the End Time. Call now, 1-800-363-8463. That's 1-800-END-TIME. Or go to endtime.com today.
If you'd like to be on the air with me, the number to call is 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. Just a couple of articles that I think you would be intensely interested in. If you are born on the Golan Heights, your U.S. passport will now say Golan, Israel. Now, why is that so important? Well, because up till now, it did not say it. Our State Department said, no, we don't recognize the Golan as Israeli territory. Well, now that has changed as of the recent development by President Trump. Now, a lot of people want their passport, if they're born in Jerusalem, to say Jerusalem, Israel. President Trump has not been willing to change that yet. So right now, if you're born in Jerusalem, your passport will only say Jerusalem. It will not say Jerusalem, Israel, even if you were born in Western Jerusalem. So it's quite interesting. That shows us that President Trump is reserving judgment on where the boundaries for Jerusalem will be. So it's a very interesting distinction. In addition to that, another article that I thought you would be interested in the Mueller report, believe it or not, it states there that Trump attempted to thwart the anti-Israeli resolution way back in December 23rd of 2016. Now, this was during the time when Obama was a lame duck, but he wasn't totally lame because he gave the nod for the international community to pass a resolution against Israel, and then he didn't use our veto power. And when President Trump, who was elected by then but not yet in power, when he saw what was getting ready to happen, he actually went to different members of the UN Security Council and tried to get them to vote against it, to no avail. The resolution simply was Resolution 2334, which stated that Israel's presence in the territories captured in the 1967 war, that their presence there was a flagrant violation of international law. That means Israel's presence in Jerusalem right now is a flagrant violation of international law. That means that 850,000 Jewish settlers that presently live in the territories captured during the 1967 war, that all of them are there illegally. Now, we could have vetoed that, but Obama didn't want to. He wanted to put America under the gun, so he instructed our ambassador to the United Nations at the time to abstain from that vote. Consequently, the resolution passed 14-0 with one abstention, and it is a resolution today. Now, Trump was trying to protect Israel even before he became the president. He tried to even get Russia to veto that. I guess that's the worst Russian collusion that Trump was involved in, was this act of trying to protect Israel. Very interesting nonetheless, and that's another one of our stories. Well, let's get back to the phones now. First of all, on Facebook, Greg would like to know, do you think this is the last pope? Well, I don't think so, but I don't know for sure because we don't know how old this pope will live to be. I think right now he's around 80 years of age. Let's say the 7 years started next year. That means the Pope would be 88 when the 7 years was finalized. Now, that's not impossible. There have been popes older than that. So you may be looking at the last Pope. I just simply cannot say for sure until they sign the peace agreement. But I will tell you this, whoever is Pope at the time of the Antichrist, that man will fill the role of the false prophet. They will form a union together. It'll be nothing but a rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire. And the political leader will be the Antichrist. The religious leader will be the false prophet. There have always been two leaders in the Holy Roman Empire, a political leader and a spiritual leader. And the spiritual leader has every time for 1,000 years been the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. It's going to be exactly that way again. Okay, let's get right back to the phones now, and let's go to David calling from Virginia. Hello, David.
Hey, Pastor Baxter. Honored to talk to you. I just had a two-part question for you. It says it's going to be like the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you think it's going to be like that all over the world? And in Luke 17:34, it says, 2 men shall be in one bed. Does that mean they're going to be in a homosexual relationship and one's going to get raptured and one isn't?
Well, the Bible definitely says, as it was in the days of Sodom, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Here in America, it's now legal for 2 men and 2 women to marry together. So you can have a man married to a man, a woman to a woman. That is Sodom personified. So we'd have to say that we're there now. Now, will it be worse in some parts of the world than others? Well, of course. I mean, there are some nations today that there's a death penalty if you commit a homosexual act. Some of the very conservative Arab nations, they actually do that. And I saw recently that there were about 17 people beheaded in Saudi Arabia yesterday for different crimes. So one of the crimes that will get you beheaded is adultery. Another one is homosexuality. So they're very strong on some of those moral laws. Now, as far as what was the second part of your question there, David?
Luke 17:34, 2 men shall be in one bed, one shall be taken and the other left.
Yeah,
so
is that
in a
speaking
relationship with each other and one's going to get raptured?
Yeah, no, that does not mean that. If they're in a homosexual relationship, neither one of them will be raptured, because 1 Corinthians chapter number 6, verse 9 through 11 says, "Be not deceived, neither fornicator, nor adulterer, nor effeminate, nor homosexual shall inherit the kingdom of God." That's simply saying there were two men in bed. Used to, we thought nothing about it, that two men would share a bed. They were there to sleep, and we thought nothing about it. Now then, I wouldn't even do it now. When I was younger, I've done it before. But now in this day of a rampant homosexuality and all these wild accusations, there is no way I would sleep on the floor first. But no, that's simply saying, it says two men shall be in the bed, one shall be taken, the other shall be left. It goes on to say two women shall be grinding at the mill. That means they're going to be turning their corn into cornmeal or their wheat into flour. That's all that means. One shall be taken, the other shall be left. One is ready to go, the other is not ready to go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're most welcome, David. Thank you very much for the phone call. Okay, let's go now to Illinois. Kimberly is calling. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi. My question is in regards to the second Exodus. Is it something that you are familiar with? I've read about it, heard about it in the book of the prophecies. Some of the major and minor, I believe, talks about it, about the remnant going back to or going to the kingdom of heaven and things like that, as well as my other question or a combined question, is the second Exodus before, after the rapture, or are they one and the same, or something that's going to coincide and happen at the same time?
Well, Kimberly, I'm not sure I'm on the same page with you, but the first Exodus, of course, was when the children of Israel left Egyptian bondage. But the second Exodus was when they left Babylon after 70 years of captivity. The people of Judea, they had lived so sinfully that Jeremiah the prophet went to preach to them, to tell them that they were going to be taken back to zero. They were going to lose all their possessions, everything, and they would be carried away into Babylonian captivity. Well, that happened in two waves, 606 BC and then 586 BC. That's when the temple was finally destroyed, the second temple. No, I said that wrong. The first temple, Solomon's temple, was destroyed in 586 by the Babylonians. Nebuchadnezzar by name was the king. And they carried them away for 70 years of captivity. Then King Cyrus, by then the Medes and the Persians had defeated the Babylonian Empire, and now they ruled the world. And King Cyrus, who was the king of the Persians, he made a decree that all the children of Israel were no longer slaves, that they can now go back and build their second temple. Now, that's what the Bible refers to as the second Exodus. But I don't think that's exactly what you were referring to.
Okay, well, I apologize. Maybe it's not called the second Exodus. And if it is, then you and I are kind of off on something else. But what I'm trying to say is there's some information that I'm aware of. One is Trump signed a bill January 8th of 2018. The bill started, it's called H.R. 1242. That bill was signed. It started in January of this year. It ends July 1st, 2020. And it is to commemorate and celebrate African Americans serving our slavery time here in America. I did some researching and tried to find out, okay, well then, if our time is up, we served our time, our time is up here. Where are we going? We're going back to Africa? Are we going to get back there on ships? Then who are we then? Because according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it says that we are not the descendants of Ham, but the descendants of Shem. So if we're the descendants of Shem, I did some researching even in depth to that and finding out who are we really. So if we're people that have been enslaved just like the Israelites, then who are we? What is our connection with Africa? Things like that. So I've done some research and was told that we are the Hebrews, the original Hebrew Israelites that are enslaved right now still in America.
Kimberly, would you give me that the number of that bill again? I would like to look it up.
Yes, sir. HR 1242. And do you have an email where I can send you some, or I don't know how to get the scriptures to you that talk about this Exodus, or talk about, it talks about us leaving, the African Americans going back to Africa?
You can certainly email us right here, endtime@endtime.com. That's all you need to know. That's the email address. Endtime. Use the @ sign. Endtime@endtime.com.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, if you would do that, I would very much like to look at what you're speaking of. I think I've got time for one more question. Let's go to Kentucky. David's calling from Kentucky. Hello, David.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much.
My question is the Antichrist. Is that a man? Is that Satan? Or is that a man possessed by Satan?
It's definitely a man, and he will certainly be Satan's agent. It appears that he will become possessed by Satan 3.5 years before Armageddon. That's when Satan is confined to the earth. That's all taught in Revelation chapter number 12, verse 7 through 14. And there you can see that Satan will be banished from heaven. Right now he has access to heaven. He's the accuser of the brethren, but he's going to make a last-ditch effort to actually launch a war in the heavenlies. He will be defeated, and then his punishment will be that he is confined to the earth. And at that time is when the Great Tribulation begins. So there's a lot of people who believe at that time Satan will personally inhabit the Antichrist and then try to rule the world through the Antichrist for the next 3.5 years. I'm not saying I'm absolutely sure that that's true, but the Antichrist will definitely be Satan's agent, but he will be a human man here upon the earth who will rule the world. He'll be a politician, and he will rule the world for 3.5 years.
Will the Antichrist know he's the Antichrist?
He will probably not. He will maybe even be deceived to think he's the real Christ. We don't know that for sure, but the Bible says he will stand in the temple of God, claiming to be God. He will exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worship. David, got to let you go. We're totally out of time. All of you that called in today, thank you so much. Thank you for listening today. And don't forget, JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. Go there, enroll. We're trying to get you ready for the final 7 years. JerusalemProphecyCollege.com.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.